Hello and welcome to this webinar where I will be introducing the Brown Executive Function Attention Scales. My name is Carolyn Hughes. I am an assessment consultant at Pearson Clinical in the UK. And as this is a recorded webinar, I've included my contact details on the screen if you would like to get in touch with any questions. I'll put my details on the screen again at the end of the presentation. So today, this is going to be the agenda of our webinar. So first of all, we'll go through the overview of the assessment, the updates and the test structure. Then we'll go through applications, scoring and administration of the assessment. So an update of the Brown ADD scales. The Brown Executive Function Attention Scales helps screen and assess a wider range of impairments of executive functioning. So the Brown EFA scales measures the DSM-5 symptoms of ADHD along with less apparent impairments of executive functioning. It is a set of rating scales designed to evaluate executive functions related to ADHD in individuals ages 3 years and older. The assessment will take between 10 and 15 minutes to administer, and it has a CL2R qualification code. For more information on our qualification codes, please visit our website. So here are the updates from the Brown ADD scales. The new name acknowledges the importance of the role of executive functioning to ADHD and ADHD-related symptoms. There is now a 6th cluster called Action, and this has been added to the adolescent and adult forms, making it possible to evaluate impairments associated with hyperactive or impulsive symptoms of ADHD across all forms and age levels. There are new and updated items. So the items were revised to improve clarity and clinical relevance. Items were added to the adolescent and adult forms to accommodate the addition of this 6th cluster. The items were reviewed and revised as necessary to ensure that the scales reflect the changes made to the ADHD diagnostic criteria in the DSM-5. And there is now a total composite score available across all forms and age levels in the Brown EFA scales. This change simplifies the interpretation of the instrument, while also making the results more consistent and comparable for individuals who may be evaluated across several age levels over time. The goal of the Brown EFA scales is to identify the symptoms that are most problematic for the individual. Therefore, the revision of the severity-based system of response options is more appropriate and clinically useful than the frequency-based system in the previous edition. So, allowing people to report which symptoms they perceive to be problematic rather than assuming that more frequently occurring symptoms are more problematic. And this provides clinicians with more precise responses than a frequency-based one. The norms were updated with both combined sex and separate sex. And a parent rater option was added to the adolescent form for ages 13 to 18 years. And there is a new digital delivery option, which is now available for Q Global. And the Brown EFA scales provide statistical and base rate information for comparisons among the composite and cluster scores. So on your screen, you will see the test structure, and the items on the Brown EFA scales are grouped into 6 clusters, each representing an underlying aspect of the author's model of executive function and impairment as it relates to ADHD. So first of all, we have activation. The activation cluster addresses difficulties the individual may have organising tasks and materials, estimating time, prioritising tasks, and setting and getting started on work-like tasks. Then the second one is focus. So the focus cluster addresses the problems individuals may have in sustaining attention and focus for work-like tasks, or in shifting attention when needed from one activity to another. The third is effort. The effort cluster addresses problems individuals have in staying alert and sustaining sufficient effort for work-related tasks. It also addresses difficulties with processing information, completing tasks, and maintaining performance consistency. The fourth is emotion. The emotion cluster addresses difficulties individuals may have with regulating emotional reactions to the extent that they take over too much of what the individuals are thinking or doing. Then we have memory. The memory cluster addresses problems individuals may have with forgetfulness in daily routines and recall of learnt material. And then finally, we have action. The action cluster addresses problems individuals may have recognising appropriate behaviour and self-regulating their actions. And the Brown EFA scales consist of parent, teacher, and self-report forms over 4 age levels. They can be administered using Q Global or via a paper questionnaire form. If using the paper forms, you can either hand score with the hand score worksheet, or you can score it via Q Global. You can see on your screen which forms will be relevant for each age range. For example, you could use the parent form for ages 3 years to 18 years of age. So the Brown EFA can be used in a number of ways. The scales can be useful as an initial screening measure to offer a quick way to identify individuals who are likely to meet the diagnostic criteria for ADHD. It's effective in targeting people who should receive a comprehensive evaluation for ADHD. For people suspected of having ADHD, the Brown scales can be used as part of a comprehensive evaluation. The scales are not diagnostic themselves, but they can be used combined with other measures to make or rule out a diagnosis of ADHD. They should not be used in isolation to make diagnostic decisions. They can be used in repeated administrations to assess changes in ADHD over time. Comparing assessments can help in determining if a treatment has been effective or not. And using Q Global, questionnaires can be compared across time points and rater to rater. Comparison data includes statistical significance of the change in scores and base rate of the change. And finally, the scales can also be used in research. So the normative scores reports are T-scores and percentiles. T-scores have a mean of 50 and a standard deviation of 10. And the percentile ranks indicate the percentage of the normative sample scoring at or below a given raw score. And on your screen, you will see the T-score range and classification table, which can be found in the manual. So the normative sample was divided into six age groups among the 3 types of rating form. So 3 to 5 years, you have the parent and teacher form. 6 to 7 years, the parent teacher form. 8 to 9 years, you have the parent teacher and self-report form. 10 to 12 years, you have the parent teacher and self-report form. And then 13 to 18 years, you have the parent and self-report form. And 19 years and older is the self-report form. Within each rating form, each age group was composed of 200 participants. The normative sample had roughly an equal number of males and females per age group, and the proportions of each ethnicity in each age group were based on the English-speaking ethnic proportions of individuals within the corresponding age group of the US population. The normative sample was stratified according to 4 education levels based on the number of years of school completed. So grade 11 or less, high school graduate, 1 to 3 years of college, and 4 years of college or more. The US was divided into 4 major geographic regions according to the census data, which was Midwest, Northwest, South and West. So thank you for attending this webinar today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. My telephone number and email address are on your screen, and I've also put a link to my LinkedIn account. Thank you very much and take care.